Hey everybody, we're going to talk about observational learning today. Some of the key terms you're going to see are Bandura, Bobo, mirror neurons, which we'll probably save for another video, and pro-social and antisocial behavior. So in the next video or two, we want you to be able to describe observational learning and its relationship to operant conditioning. And we'll follow that up with a neurological explanation for the explanation of behavior and imitation. So Bandura claims that we can learn operantly without direct experience, that we don't have to experience the outcome ourselves, whether that's pleasant or unpleasant, that we can observe others that we call models, and those models their behavior they exhibit is called modeling, and we can experience vicarious reinforcement or punishment, which means we can watch other people exhibit a behavior and see that behavior lead to a pleasant outcome, and that can affect the likelihood of whether we will exhibit that behavior in the future, or we can watch others experience an unpleasant outcome and we're less likely to do that as well. For example, if we watch our older siblings argue with parents and then get grounded, we might be less likely to exhibit that behavior as well. It's especially likely that we'll imitate admirable others, people we look up to somehow, maybe a coach, an athlete, or an older sibling. People we see as similar to ourselves, like our friends, our peers, the way they dress, the music they listen to, the way they act, the way they talk, and just other people that we like for some reason. And we're going to look at the very famous Bobo doll experiment. This was Albert Bandura's experiment, and it led him to develop his observational learning theory and imitation theory. So observational learning. Basically, Bandura had preschool kids playing with toys in a room, and then the other side of that room was an adult playing. That adult basically got angry and broke bad on a blow-up clown that Bandura called a Bobo doll, and kicked it and punched it and did all sorts of mean things to it, said mean things to it. The child was then taken to a room with other appealing toys in it and allowed to play for a little while, but after a few minutes, the experimenter told the child that these toys were for good kids and that you had to go to another room and play with less fun toys. Now, the kids who at least watched an adult be aggressive, they too were more likely to become aggressive to that Bobo doll, just as the adults had been in the previous room. They punched it and kicked it and said mean things to it and hit it with a hammer and all sorts of things like that. Now, what they also showed was the kids who were treated the same way as the kids were, taken to another room, told them they couldn't play with those toys. The kids who did not observe an adult modeling aggressive behavior were less likely to lash out on Bobo. And the kids not only acted more aggressive if they saw the adult be aggressive, but they also imitated specific actions of the adult. And Bandura said this was really important. So let's take a look at a little bit of this actual footage from Bandura. It's kind of dated, so you'll have to bear with us here.
The model pummeled the doll with the mallet, flung it in the air, kicked it repeatedly, threw it down and beat it. It was once widely believed that seeing others vent aggression would drain the viewer's aggressive drive. As you can see, exposure to aggressive modeling is hardly cathartic.
So you can see some evidence, at least, that the kids who watched the aggressive adults were also acting aggressively towards the Bobo doll. Now, what does this mean? Well, Bandura said that on the bright side, we can also, because he got a lot of criticism for this, but he also said, listen, this would suggest that if we if we see pro-social behavior modeled, helping behavior, that kids and others are more likely to act in a similar fashion. So when we see other people helping, we are more likely to be helpful, at least in the short run. If our adult models say, hey, you should volunteer and be helpful, and then we see them do that, we are more likely to be helpful. And I like this saying from the Dalai Lama, our prime purpose in life is to help others, and if you can't help them, at least don't hurt them. So leading through doing as opposed to just leading through saying might make kids more likely to be pro-social themselves. Of course, on the other hand, the Bobo doll experiment did show that antisocial behavior can be imitated as well. Other studies, and there's hundreds of them, but some famous ones. In 1995, kids watched Power Rangers do their flying kicks and karate chops on people even though they were beating up bad guys. Kids who watched that were much more likely to display aggressive behavior towards siblings or their friends. In another study, adult males who watched sexually violent movies on 3 successive nights were much less sympathetic to domestic violence victims. They were less sympathetic to victims of sexual abuse. Now, it didn't say they were more likely to display domestic violence, but it did show that they were less sensitive to it, so they had become desensitized. And in 2009, after a meta-analysis of many studies on video games and on TV shows and movies and internet activity, the American Academy of Pediatrics came out and made this statement that media violence can contribute to aggressive behavior and desensitization to violence and fear of being harmed. So I do want to end with a video clip for you to kind of get the idea of what the American Academy of Pediatrics is saying. Watch the kids' behavior following the adults' behavior.
Always make your employees feel valued.
Sorry
For
about
instance,
the
I made a
advertisement.
smart
Sometimes I
business
get it,
decision to
sometimes I
make.
don't.
Looks like rain again today. Dark clouds gather and fill the sky. Don't know how to talk to you, just know how to say goodbye.
Pretty powerful video that very much relates to the imitation that Bandura was talking about. So at least the American Academy of Pediatrics is probably worried about all the exposure to shows like Jersey Shore and the antics of the people on that show, and that unfortunately that may have a bigger impact on us than people who do volunteer for worthy causes and pro-social causes like Special Olympics and being helpful to others in their lives. So that's it for observational learning. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to rewind and check out your notes, and we'll talk in class. See you soon.